Okay, so this is our first tutorial. It's a resin tutorial, and it is using the Little Windows Brilliant Resin. It's the resin that we at KSCharms have, really grown to enjoy. It has almost no odor. It sets mirror clear. It's just a really nice resin. We've tried others, haven't liked them. In fact, this is the only one that we've ever used that has performed exactly as advertised. So yeah, we're going to be making an ornament. It's going to be an oval Christmas ornament, since I sold my rectangular one. And I'm going to be using this little blue Christmas tree sticker. It's an epoxy sticker, which I have found that when dealing with resin, epoxy stickers are some of the best stickers to use. And yeah, so let's get started. Okay, so the things we're going to be making an ornament is going to be similar, well, not similar, but it's going to be like this size. It's a relatively hefty resin piece. Like these. But is going to be using this sticker off of this sheet. And you're going to need Mylar glitter flakes, like these. These just came from an assorted nail art kit. So I have them in the pale bluey green shade and in the dark blue. And these are sparkles. It's iridescent Mylar flakes. You'll need your resin. My resin is done in a 2-to-1 ratio. It's completely safe for using indoors. I have my windows open today, but that's because it's absolutely beautiful out. So you'll need a mold. I got all of my molds from Little Windows. They're very, very nice molds. I have not had any molds behave as nicely as the Little Windows ones do. You'll need your measuring and mixing cup. Because I do these in layers, because that's the best way to get the 3D effect. I measure them in the smallest batch amount that the manufacturer recommends, which is 15 ml. And then, assorted glitters and things like that you'd like. And so we're going to start by mixing our resin, which Chris will now hold the camera so I can do that for you. Just don't have to put it on me.
Yeah, I know. I know the drill.
So we're going to take our actual resin, measure it to the 10 ml mark. Ooh, okay. And then,
Stop moving so much.
well, and then we're going to take our hardener and take that up to the 15 ml line. I can hear the camera. And then we are going to mix. And it is best if you have an owl timer. It makes it fun. And we're going to mix it for 2 minutes. And when I actually edit this, I will speed it up so I look like I'm mixing very, very quickly.
Speed it up so I look like I'm mixing very, very quickly. Now it is important to mix slowly, because although as it sits it will degas some on its own, bubbles, just minimal bubbles, people.
Once you have mixed thoroughly, you then need to let it sit for about 5 minutes. So this will allow it to degas, let all the chemical reactions begin to happen, and you just get a much better result. Yeah. And because we're doing this in layers, this makes more resin than you'll need, so have a backup project that you can do. Make sure you always have enough molds. Okay, as it was setting, I decided that I was going to get more stuff. So I have the 2 iridescent glitters that I want to use. And yes, it is Martha Stewart, because I love Martha. And I got my blue glitter towers that I put together. So, and my little iridescent marbles, which I think will be very pretty in this wintry scene. And now Chris gets to... Thank you. Now, we have taken to always putting our glitters in a different mixing thing because it never comes out of a cup. Never.
Well, the cups themselves can be cleaned and reused just using paper towels. Once you put glitter in there, the glitter clings to everything, and it's nearly impossible to get all of the glitter out in order to reuse the cup. So buy cheap cups and use those for your glitter projects.
Yeah. Now keep in mind, what I'm doing is different than what most people do. When I've looked at their tutorials, is that they basically put a clear resin layer down and then put their first image down and then build from front to back. But I'm going to show you how to build from back to front because I prefer it now, especially for ornaments that I'm trying to get a very good 3D effect with.
Saundra and I differ on that. I like to do things putting the front layers down first and putting the images basically upside down so that once you pop it out of the mold, it is right side up. But she likes doing it back to front, so this is fun for you guys because you get to see a different way.
So what you need to understand is that the first layer you're going to be putting down will be your back. It will be your background. So you want to have that pretty heftily colored. So I use, because this is a snow scene, it's a winter scene, we're going to use quite a bit of that. But hey, you say you like my ornaments.
I do like your ornaments. I'm not saying I don't.
Use as much or as little of that as you want. I'm actually not going to use the second one. And then with the really dark colors like this, because some stickers are temperamental, and you can sometimes see the glitter through it, I just use a very little bit of the dark color. Now, the thing you have to understand is that these mylar flakes will sink to the bottom. So expect that. Don't overdo the glitter, as we've learned.
Yeah, we have severely overdone glitter in the past.
And it kind of muddles everything. Especially when you're using these big-mouthed containers.
Many a time Saundra goes, whoops, and I look over and she's poured half of it into the resin, so...
And then you have to dilute it out.
Yeah, then you have to make another batch and dilute it out as quickly as possible.
Now, I'm sort of ruthless when I mix these together. I don't really see a point in trying to keep out the air bubbles. Because this is going to be a very thin layer. Very chunky, thin layer. So that not so much sinks that won't be seen. But as you can see, it really clings to the...
Hold on, let me zoom in.
It really clings.
Focus, camera. Whoa, hello. A little too much. Less is more. Yeah, it's not focusing, but you can kind of see that it's very...
It doesn't like to be clean. And then just carefully pat it out. Because again, this is your first layer, it's the thinnest layer. Now if you want to do it the way Chris likes doing it, he'll do this, you know, in reverse order. So my very first step will be your last. Okay. And then that we will put over here with all of our other stuff that's drying.
Various projects in the works, but this gives you a basic idea.
That will set for 4 hours before I come back to put the next layer on. And then another 4 hours before I put the next layer, and so on and so forth. You'll see each one of those, but it will typically be 4 hours between each layer until I get to the final in mold layer, and then I have to let that sit for 12 to 24 hours before I can pop it safely out of the mold to do the final doming layer.
And you do want to make sure, whenever possible, that you work on level surfaces.
A level surface.
It's very, very helpful to have a level surface, and when you don't, the resin is off kilter. Which you have to then, try and correct with other layers, or, you just resign yourself to the fact that your resin is not going to be flat. It'll be sloped. But we will come back after a few hours and
for the next step.
Do the next steps.
So I've already mixed the next batch of resin. And then I'll move on to the next step. This is already completely solid, but it's very, very rough due to the mylar glitter flakes. So I'm going to pour a clear layer over it and let it partially set for 4 hours before I move on to my next step, which will be placing the items that are furthest back from the eye, which will be probably a snowflake and some rhinestones, just some background stuff that will make it look like snow and things like that. So yeah, we'll catch up with you when that happens. Okay, so this has been sitting for about 4 hours, thereabout. You can see that it's much smoother on top now, but it's not fully set. Now we're going to put, let's come over here where there's a little bit more light, shall we? Oh, my messy, messy work surface. Now, because you can see it's still a little on the gooey side, but we're just going to place the bits and pieces where we want them. Anything that we want to show up in the background is what will go on now.